Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be making a cutout window journal page, which is really simple and lots of fun to complete. So we're starting in my craft journal using these pocket square stamps from Dina Wakley, and I've just put 6 onto a large stamp and stamped them straight into my journal. One of the reasons I love using the craft journal is it's really smooth cardboard and it's really easy to stamp on and get a really great image. Now you could obviously use your stamp positioner if you want, but I just went for it. You can also see where I've overpressed on this bottom image that I'm cutting out, and that was okay because I knew I was going to be cutting out the background. So I'm removing all the craft paper from inside the image, obviously not on the face, but just the outside edges. So I've got these little pop-out windows, so you can see where I'm cutting out where the pink comes through. Obviously when you're using a knife to do this, you need a cutting knife, a cutting mat underneath. I'm using the Dilutions little mini one. It's a good size for what I'm doing. A really cheap cutting board or a cutting mat from your local dollar shop or whatever is going to work really well. So just continue cutting. Also, when you are doing cut pages like this, have a sharp blade. Check your blade beforehand, but usually before I do a cut page, I tend to just change my blade and just use a new blade for every cut page I do. If it's really intricate, I may change halfway through when the page, if anything starts to catch or the knife starts to catch. But this card is fantastic if you want to try a cut page, because one, these are really simple lines to cut out. There is nothing hard about these things. Most of it's 3 straight lines and a little bit of a curve. There's nothing too hard about this. So I've got my my cut out images. I was going to put cut out some words on this page to begin with. That's why I left that space down the bottom instead of putting 9 pictures in, which I could have done really easily. I was going to be a little bit clever about it and actually do some cut out letters, but I wasn't very bright when I did it. So I'm trying to write out family, and I was going to cut out the letters for family. However, when I started cutting, I actually cut a frame around it to begin with, or I cut instead of cutting the letters out, I cut the background out. I stuffed it up, basically. You can sort of see me thinking about it, and I didn't think about it too hard before I actually started cutting. You can also see me thinking about cutting, and I didn't put my cutting board in, so at least I remembered to do that. But you can see here, I've started to cut out the family, but I cut across the bottom and I cut across the top. So if you wanted to do this, don't cut the top and bottom lines. So like the A, can you see I've still got that attached at the top? And now I'm just about to cut through it, and then I'm going, why did you do that? Why did you cut through the F? Because that's just floating there, and you're cutting that out, and those little bits on the inside aren't going to sit there. So to solve the problem, I cut the whole thing out. Do as I say, not as I do. So when you're cutting, just have a real think about it, what you're actually cutting out. And what I would suggest, I was using a pencil. The most sensible thing I should have done was to actually colour in the bits that I needed to cut out to make it make sense. I could have always rubbed out anything that I'd drawn on that wasn't going to get cut out beforehand. Now I'm just going in with a little bit of glue. I was a little bit heavy-handed. I had a glue blockage, and then it suddenly unblocked. So you can see me spreading the glue out here. And I'm just going to glue down my transparency. Now the great thing about this glue is once it actually dries, it dries clear, so I'm not going to see all that white coming through. I'm just going to see the clear transparency, and you can see me sort of clipping that down so it dries while I continue to work. So on the next page, I just wanted to have a really lovely background, coloured background with something on it. So I'm using these sort of really warm colours. I'm using apricot, sedona, eggplant, and just with a really light brush, I haven't put water on my brush, I'm just sort of using a little bit of paint I've got and blending it all together. So it sort of all goes, it's very unusual for me not to actually just get my fingers in there and use that as well. I'm using this stamp, this is from another new stamp set called Healing and Light, which is the why that set's called it, because you can see in the text it's got Healing and Light written in it. It's also got some of these mark making stamps in it, so I've got the white there. I really want to bring some lightness back onto the page, and I love the way this sort of look like bubbles over the background. And then with sponge and the stencils I've got here, I'm just going in with a little bit of stenciling over the top. So you can see where I mucked up a little bit of my stenciling there, so I'm going back in with a little bit of the eggplant over the top so it doesn't look like I mucked it up and it bled. So you can see there now I've got this gorgeous background going around the back. Just to hide where paint had gone over, where I have not been very patient before, I'm just going in with a black alcohol marker to give a little bit of border. And because a lot of this page is very geometric, I'm just going in and sharpening up those lines a little bit, just so it all sort of plays together. Then I decided, instead of actually cutting out my words, I was just going to use this little bit of space to put a quote, to actually put a quote about, you know, wonderful days and what's yet to come. So again, using a little bit of glue, I've just glued that onto my page. So I've got my quote, I've got my background, I've got my cut windows. I could obviously write in the background there, and that would show through too. There's lots of different ways you could use this, so please use your imagination, take this and run with it. Here's a close-up of my background, and here's a close-up of the windows that I've cut out. So the background you saw previously is what you see through those cut windows, and the black lines you see are from the transparency that I've glued onto the back of it. So I hope you have fun. This is the perfect set if you've never done a cut page before, to help you cut out what you need to, and the links for that will be down below. If you look at the Dina Wakeley new releases, it will lead you to it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.